Well, good afternoon, everybody. Bill O'Leary here from Legacy Planning Law Group. Happy Thursday to you. Um, Coming to you today as part of what we call our Thirsty Thursday series. Every Thursday at about this time, I'm going to be talking about a topic that might be interesting as it might relate to estate planning, wills, trusts, and estates, elder law, and so forth. So, if you're thirsting for knowledge, you have come to the right place. So let me tell you what today's topic is going to be. Today's topic is understanding the types of conservatorship in the context of the Free Britney movement. So let's delve in. For nearly half of her life, Britney Spears' career, she has not had full control of her life. She's been under what's called a conservatorship that's been held by her father. His name is Jamie Spears. And ever since Britney's infamous sort of breakdown about 12 years ago that occurred, and it resulted in her having to go to the hospital and then going through rehab. And so the around her mental battles, that stigma's followed her ever since then. It was 2007, and really ever since then, her career really has continued to progress. It has never faltered. And so, really, starting with a comeback album, if you will, 2008, called Circus, she continued to release albums and go on tour, do shows in Vegas, and so forth. She even launched a business venture, a lucrative perfume, as well as lingerie line. But despite these multiple comebacks from that breakdown, her fans, they have made clear, they vocalized their dissatisfaction in seeing her continue to be under a conservatorship. Now she's 38 years old. So convinced that Britney herself also wants to free herself from these legal restrictions, fans decided to launch what's known as the Free Britney movement. Okay, and they've used social media to bring awareness to the sort of the problems surrounding the conservatorship. Now, Britney's conservatorship was established in California. So what is a conservatorship in California? A legal proceeding where a judge appoints an individual or maybe an organization to care for another adult, where that adult is considered to be unfit to be able to care for themselves or maybe to manage their own finances. Now, in Florida, where I am, conservatorship means something a little different than in California. In Florida, a conservatorship, it's a legal relationship where a court appoints someone to manage the estate of someone else who qualifies as being, quote, an absentee, okay, where they can't be located. So really, conservatorships don't happen that often in Florida. Instead, Florida's version of what has been set up in California for Britney Spears is called a guardianship. And a guardianship is where someone is appointed by a judge to act on behalf of someone else who's incapacitated due to mental illness, maybe, or due to some disability or even injury. The incapacitated person is what we call the ward, okay? And the person that's responsible for the ward is known as the guardian. Now, the guardian can be responsible for, the personal affairs of the ward. This is what we refer to as the guardian of the person, taking care of them personally. Now, the guardian can also be responsible for the ward's financial matters, financial affairs. This is what we call a guardian of the property. And oftentimes, both roles are filled by the same person, okay? Now, a total and complete guardianship is what's known as a plenary guardianship. Now, there also can be guardianships that are not total, where the ward retains some rights. So there are different types of guardianship. But sort of the full-blown guardianship is known as a plenary guardianship. But back to Britney and her conservatorship that was set up in California. So for the last 12 years, the specifics or the details of her conservatorship have been private. But she recently filed documents through her lawyer that requests that ask that parts of her open open to the public. So Britney has said, in fact, she supports her fans that are speaking out on her behalf. And she says that this has helped sort of dispel some of the rumors that the Free Britney movement, it's just a social media phenomenon, or a social media hoax even, as Britney's father has alleged. So Britney has been supportive of this Free Britney movement. So she was put under a conservatorship, as I said, following a very public breakdown. And so following about a year or so of behavior that can only be characterized as erratic, and that would be charitable, which included her shaving her head and attacking a paparazzi's car with an umbrella, believe it or not. She was put under a certain sort of legal restraint. In California, they call it a 5150 hold, where she was committed to a psychiatric hospital for a mental health evaluation. Now, at that time, Britney's father petitioned the court out there for an emergency temporary conservatorship, and her father, argued that Britney was unable to properly care and manage for herself in the midst of her mental health struggles. Now, from there, her father was given the legal right to oversee and make decisions regarding Britney's finances, even controlling health, business deals, even her personal life, all of which her father managed up until 2019. So, why are fans concerned about Britney's, condition, her well-being? Well, her fans have long been skeptical of this conservatorship and the terms of it, and they've often questioned whether setting it up was in Britney's best interest. A website known as freebritney.net was launched in 2009, which included this sort of global or overarching statement on why her fans believe she doesn't need a guardianship this far into her life and career. And again, she's now 38 years old. So recently, the Free Britney movement sort of made a resurgence after an anonymous lawyer who used to be part of the law firm that oversaw her conservatorship. He expressed concerns over Britney's sort of stable of advisors, as well as her father, concerned about them running her life. And as this lawyer said, during the 12 years of Britney's conservatorship, heck, she's toured the world, she's released multiple albums, and she's even worked on a variety of TV shows. Yet, her conservators, those that are running the conservatorship, they decide whether or not she actually works. She's legally not allowed to even enter into a legal contract for herself because she is legally not her own person. Britney Spears needs permission from her conservators to leave her house or spend any of her own money. So, fans have gone out on the street and protested on Britney's behalf, demanding an end to her conservatorship. Even Britney's siblings and certain friends, celebrity friends and so forth, they've spoken out about the conservatorship. Her brother did an interview in July on a certain podcast, and he said, look, although there may have been a need for a conservatorship in the beginning, now Britney wants out of it. And he said it's frustrating to have someone else tell you to do something. And Paris Hilton, who you know, longtime friend of Britney Spears, she also recently spoke out in favor of sort of getting Britney released from the conservatorship. And she said, look, she knows full well what it feels like to have very little control over your life. Britney now reportedly doesn't want her father to return as head of the conservatorship. And according to court documents that were obtained by People magazine, she is strongly opposed to her father returning to his role as the sole conservator and the sole person in charge of her affairs and finances. And even Britney's mother supports Britney gaining control of her life again. And so Britney's enlisted the help of her mother to take back control of her life. And she truly believes that her mother wants to help her have more autonomy and control over her money and her life. Britney knows right now she might not be in complete control, but she wants more freedom to spend her money how she pleases. And she trusts her mother. They went through some tough times in the early years, but now, from all reports, they appear closer than ever. And in another court filing, Britney's lawyer said that she eventually wants to have the sole power to pursue professional opportunities like performing, recording, making videos, and doing TV shows, going on tour, that sort of thing. So as of right now, Britney's conservatorship, it's been extended to at least 21 next year, and any change that may involve permanently removing her father from his role as a conservator will not be approved or altered until at least next February. So it looks like for at least the next couple of months it's status quo, but things may very well change for Britney as we move into the spring. So I hope you've enjoyed this talk on understanding the different types of conservatorship and within the context of the Free Britney movement. If you'd like to know maybe how we can help, maybe how we can help with a loved one who may be in declining health, and whether a guardianship might be appropriate, we'd be happy to talk to you. You can book a free 15-minute phone call with our team. Again, just go to our main Facebook page and select the Book Now button, and this free 15-minute call will give you a chance to tell us about, also give us both a chance to see whether we might be a good fit for each other. And again, the call is complimentary, or you can just call the office directly at 904-880-5554, or just Google us, legacyplanninglaw.com. So again, I hope you've enjoyed this talk, understanding the types of conservatorship, the Free Britney movement. I plan to give another Facebook Live talk again next Thursday afternoon at about the same time as part of our Thirsty Thursday series. Again, same day, same time, but a different topic. So if you're thirsting for knowledge, I will quench your thirst. So this is Bill O'Leary signing off for now. On behalf of everyone here at Team Legacy, I want to thank you for spending time with us on this Thursday afternoon, and I do want you to go make it a great day.